Hey, listen, before we get into today's episode, let me ask you this. When's the last time you had a proper break? Whether you're a truckie, a shift worker, a parent, or just here for the laughs. We know you're working bloody hard just to keep the wheels turning, and that's why our mates at Nature Bee want to send you on the holiday of a lifetime. We're talking $20,000 worth of travel anywhere in the world. You name it. Fiji, Vegas, the Outback, Rome, Paris, London, doesn't matter. New York, you choose. Stick with us because only bona fide listeners get the inside scoop on double entry weeks, exclusive offers, and a lot more. So hit the link in the show notes or head to naturebee.com. Read the T's and C's, and I'll tell you more as we roll on throughout the episode of Bonafide, also made possible thanks to Nature Bee.
Get your diesel running. Head out on the highway, missing all the roadkill. Oh, watch out. Another Truckie Tuesday. Indicate when you're changing from lanes. Do not brake check me in my prime. Australia moves and it's thanks to you guys. Trucks to get there on time. Listen to the air horns. Dip your lights from high beam. HVL that helps you. Thanks to Ride Hannafay. On the highway driving all day. And at night when the traffic's slow. Getting goods from state across lines. We're ready to go. Without trucks, Australia stops. They're driving around the clock. Never, never giving up. Drive safe tonight. Drive left-hand side.
Time to say g'day once again to Rod Hannafay, Rocket Rod Hannafay, King of the Road. G'day, buddy.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm very, very good. I'm back and I'm ready to go. And I understand that before we started today's podcast, you were feeling a little bit dusty and you listened to a song that got you, if I pardon the pun, revved up. What was it?
Diesel in My Veins by Al Bryan. There's a couple of versions of it. And it actually comes, there's a trucker, which we can say because he's American, called Crazy Wally. And he has these really excellent videos where I assume he's got some sort of a GoPro mounted out on an aerial or something. It sort of sits up and above just out in front of the truck, not like as a drone or anything, but it's just like it's out on a stick out on the front left-hand corner up in the air of the truck. And he's got these really good videos, and I picked up quite a few songs from feeds that have come up, and that's one that came up virtually on the top of his playlist. And it just gave me a little bit more fire.
Okay, what's it called?
Diesel in My Veins by A.L. Bryan, as in the name, B-R-Y-A-N.
Okay, well, why don't we have a little bit of a listen to it a bit later on?
Yes, we should.
I think we should because I don't know it, so I can't wait to hear it. I'll get the glitch bitch, the millennial, to cue it up, and do we still say give it a spin?
Well, I suppose if you're using a CD, you're still giving it a spin, aren't you? And people still use those. I do still have cassettes, but I don't have a cassette player in this. I've got one at home, though, and got all my old mixtapes made up at home, which I did transfer to CDs, so I still give them a spin occasionally.
You see, you tell the millennials of today that in order to maintain a cassette, an HB pencil was absolutely necessary. They won't understand.
No, you could use the end of your little finger, but it just wasn't as good, eh?
No, the pencil with the edges was the way to go. Anyway, people our age will smile and know exactly what we're talking about. Hey, listen, we've got a fair bit to talk about today. And Rocket Rob, we're going to chat to Fergo a little bit later on. Do you remember Fergo?
I think I do, yes. Young bloke?
The young bloke. Yes, he's a character.
Yes.
We're going to give him a ring and see what's doing with young Fergo. We've also got some truckie news to get through, but first of all, Rocket Rod, let's have a listen to what our listeners have had to say. We got this message from Brian. Have a listen.
G'day, Luke. How are you? First-time messenger, but long-time listener with the Bonafide. Mate, I've always listened to you on Triple M, and mate, I'm glad for everything you do, mate. I'm a pilot vehicle driver in the industry, in the trucking industry. Mate, I'd like to say a few things and have a chat with the NHVR boys too, because a lot of things get left unsaid with pilot vehicles and over-mass loads, over-dimension loads, and just the freight forwarders, how they don't pay on time, how there's no regulation with how we can't chase people for money, where there's no regulation on when we get paid, how we're going to get paid, etc., etc. I'm actually a friend of Mr. Hannafy, actually. I've spoken to him a lot, and I was actually at one of the shows in Brisbane. I think it was the Launton Truck Show when he used to travel around with the Kenworth, with the 108, with the education trailer, mate. He's a great bloke, and I thank Rod for everything he's done for us.
Well, there you go, Rocket Rod. That's your mate Brian, a pilot driver. And look, just for people listening to the Bonafide podcast, coming up on November 11th, we are actually going to do a live stream where you can phone through and talk to us live. Millennial, what's going on there?
Exactly what you just said. Follow the event on Facebook for all the details as they come up, but we'll have a phone line. You guys can call in and talk directly to the boys.
So there you go, Rod, a development here on the podcast. But what do you have to say about what Brian has just said there? Because we will get him on and we'll give him the chance to have a lengthier chat with us. But what did you make of that, Rod?
Mate, there are different rules in Australia. I know that'll shock you. But the fact that he's having problem getting paid, one of the things that's in that closing the loopholes legislation, which was passed last year, and many of those things are being acted on now, was payment terms. So if he's having an issue with that, and again, it's not like he's, moving a carton of freight. He's generally a pilot with something that's worth, an oversized load can be worth millions of dollars. So he's not dealing with some bloke running on a shoestring, you wouldn't think. I can't see that they shouldn't be paid on time like everybody else. But if he's having that problem, I'd be following up on that closing the loopholes legislation and seeing where that fits in with him. He's still involved in the industry. He's still a part of it. And if he's not getting paid, then he should be.
He has said that he'd like to take it up with the NHVR. Can they help?
Look, no. They have the 1-800 number that Paul mentioned when we chatted with him, so he could respond to that I'm being put in a position to break the law. That's where they can help. As I say, there are no real laws in other states. They vary, and there is no accreditation. They can't help him with payment. That becomes a fair work type of thing.
Okay, we will follow it up. But, Brian, thank you for getting in touch with us, and we'll certainly give you a call and see if you're available for our live stream, a special Truckie Tuesday coming up on the 11th of November. So stay tuned and watch all of our social media posts that Kelsey puts up, and we'd love to get you involved. Now, we've got a message from Andrew. Let me just quickly read this for you, Rod. Andrew says, I work as a truck driver in WA, and we have a lot of international drivers, and they're drivers too, which is completely fine. However, I have noticed a few of them falling asleep in the lunchroom or even when they're being loaded. What I've also noticed, listen to this, Rod, is that a lot of these drivers have Uber stickers on their private vehicles, indicating that they're clearly working during the night driving cars. I feel for my safety and everyone else on the road. How is it you're allowed to drive a heavy vehicle all day and then jump into a car and drive all night with an Uber? Want to talk to Rod about this? I'd love to hear what he has to say. Rod?
It's come up before, and look, there is the new heavy vehicle national law is going through Queensland Parliament as we speak, and in that there is an additional law about fitness to drive. Now, I have concerns about that law in who will decide that fitness. Currently, if you've got a paper logbook, it's stamped across every page, you must not drive while fatigued, and yet there is no one that monitors those hours of anybody And look, you can go home and play with the kids all day and turn around and try and jump in the truck. And if you do that and you are tired or fatigued, 1, you are breaking the law. 2, you are risking your life and that of somebody else. And there are circumstances where you might not get good sleep. And, you then have to manage that safely. Can I get down the road? I feel good. I'll have a kip. I will manage my fatigue. We've argued that the logbook and the laws then sometimes work against that. They punish you for sleeping when you're tired, because then if you've done the right thing to manage that fatigue, then that night you've got to pull up and have a 7-hour break and you can't sleep then and all those sorts of things. So everybody's different. But if you are deliberately, intentionally doing 2 jobs, and one of them is going and driving a heavy vehicle on public roads and risking your life and those of others, there must be something done to stop that from happening for the safety of all involved, because that's just stupidity.
Well, there doesn't seem to be much communication between the rideshare companies anyway. I remember when I was on the Triple M national program, the night shift, I had one guy admit to me that he was really broke and trying to get ahead. And when you drive for Uber, you can only drive for a total of 12 hours consecutively. And at that point, the app takes you offline. And it takes you offline for a minimum of 6 consecutive hours. Well, this guy was driving for Uber, driving his 12 hours and then going to another rideshare. I think it might have been Didi. I can't remember. And there was no communication between the 2 companies to make sure that the driver wasn't driving 12 hours for one and 12 hours for another, Rod.
I think he worked for 2 or 3, didn't he? He had a list of those that he worked for, and as you say, he just goes from one to the other. And when you're in a car, it's still stupid, and we understand he's struggling, but when you go from doing it in a car to then doing it in a truck, and as our mate said, if we get fined, and I'm sure you've seen, Luke, there is concern with the NHVR that there has been an increase in fatigue breaches. Now, it was in one of the magazines, I think it went from 3,700 in the last 12 months, previous 12 months, to 4,500. I want to ask the question, and we have to follow Paul up with this, how many of those are in those 3 different categories? So there's minor, severe, and critical. Now, if blokes are getting pinged and they're saying that there's all these fatigue breaches when a bloke's gone 15 minutes over to get to a toilet or a shower or a shampoo, whatever it might be, that's one thing. If the majority of those offences are where blokes are an hour, 2, 3 exceeding hours deliberately and intentionally, then, of course, the next step, as we say, is someone who is doing 2 jobs. Now, if they're driving trucks full time, they must be getting reasonable money. If they're not, something's wrong. And if they've got to go and drive a truck all day and then a car all night, there is something seriously wrong with the way they're operating, and how the hell do we fix it?
Okay. One way is, well, I hate using the word legislation, but maybe there needs to be legislation passed in all states and territories whereby it is a condition of employment that you cannot drive for another company on the day that you're driving a truck. And you will get caught because you maybe get caught speeding or going through a red light or having an accident, heaven forbid. And if it's found out that you have broken and breached those terms of employment, you're prosecuted.
But you will get prosecuted now if you get, if something happens, you're involved in an accident. They will go back through your life, through your history, through your logbook, and you will be prosecuted because you drove all night and worked all day. So you are breaking the law. You know that you are breaking the law when you've done exactly what this bloke is suggesting, to drive, for Uber during the night, turn around, get in the truck during the day. Now, unless they've got a family of 57, I don't know why they have to do 2 jobs to that extent. And as he said, what do you do? Now, in the position where he sees a bloke falling asleep at the table, you can't go out and take a photo of his car and send it to somebody. But you can ask the bloke, mate, geez, what's going on? Are you tired? Oh, yeah, I worked for Uber all night. Well, do you think that's a really good idea? Now, I don't think that's too big a leap to make. I don't think that if you ask someone genuinely, geez, mate, I'm a little bit worried that you look so tired, and I don't know where you go. The other alternative is to go to the authorities, and look, maybe that's justified, maybe it isn't. And Are we at the point, Luke, that they're saying that the laws that we have aren't working? And I did raise with you that we've got to talk about the change in the default speed limit. That's another thing where the law has come up with this idea. They think it'll fix it. We know that in the past it hasn't. They've just brought out the stick to beat you with more and more penalties and things like that. But it's not working. People are taking those risks, and we have to reduce it to save lives on the road, ours and everybody else's.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, we're not picking on Uber here. We're talking about all ride shares.
Anybody, Whether you go home and you do something else.
Yeah, for sure. All right, if you have some thoughts on this, please let us know and get back to us. Give us your feedback. Now, we've got a message from Cal. I'll read it for you. Just saw this article and I thought it'd be a great chat with Rod. I see no reason why any non-alcoholic drink should be illegal to have whilst driving, regardless of the vehicle, provided the act of drinking does not create an unreasonable distraction. As a landscaper, I constantly have to reach for a bottle of water or two to get me between jobs, particularly when at traffic lights. According to a police officer, it's illegal, in which case all drive-through food and drink places should be made illegal, and vehicles should not be allowed to have drink holders fitted. What do you make of that?
Mate, it came up many years ago, of course. Somebody had their hot coffee and sued a large food chain because the coffee was hot and burnt them. It has been discussed again recently, but my understanding is unless you're doing something stupid, it is at the discretion of the officer. Now, if you're trying to eat a hamburger and all the stuff's falling out of it all over your lap, that's a distraction. If you're simply grabbing a bottle of water where you have a holder and it's not going to spill all down your front, I think you would be able to argue that you are still in charge of the vehicle. Now, if you go to the absolute extreme of that, well, no one should have a manual car because you've got to take your hand off the steering wheel.
Yeah.
You know, if you must have two hands on the wheel at all times, then we shouldn't have any manuals at all because then you've got to take your hand off the wheel. And if you can take your hand off the wheel and change gears, then you can take your hand off the wheel and grab a drink of water. But some people take it too far, Luke. You know, if you're going to try and make soup or something while you're driving along, well, those people shouldn't be allowed on the road.
Or the bloke that you saw reading a book.
Yes, and others.
Yeah. Actually, that particular listener, Cal, is referring to an article. Here it is. Country truckie fined $250 for having empty coffee cup in cab. A country truckie who loves a cup of coffee contacted Spy to say he was infringed by a traffic officer just for that. But on this occasion, the veteran driver was fined $250 even though his coffee cup was empty. The incident occurred earlier this month when the driver was pulled over during an RBT operation. His logbook was up to date. There were no other problems with his truck or his load, but he got fined $250 for having an empty coffee cup in his truck.
Well, geez, I'd be fighting that for a start. That's overstepping the mark by the officer. I don't know whether they, didn't quite get on and they had a discussion or something like that, and he thought, I can get you for this one, and we hope that's not the case. But how can he prove that he even had coffee in it, when he was pulled up at the truck stop and drank it there before he drove off? So there's no way known that's a fair fine. There's no way known that you shouldn't fight that. And, of course, the trouble that we have is that the cop will think, well, he won't fight this, I've got him. And that's where if we don't stand up to those things, and it's this, look, the easiest way is you write a letter. And no matter what fine you're given, you have 21 days to respond and you can seek a review. Now, I think any person with half a brain would look at that and say, he's overstepped the mark, let's pull that one in. But I'd like to find out where that goes, whether the bloke simply paid it because he knows that it's too hard and they won't listen. And if he fights it, as he bloody well should, then we need to know who that copper is and he needs to have his head pulled in.
He does. And here's the other thing. If it's illegal to drink hot coffee or whatever, or even anything, why is it not illegal to smoke a cigarette while you're driving? Because you're dealing with a cigarette that's got a hot tip on it. And if it falls into your lap while you're driving, you're in trouble. As
it has done. And then, of course, people have thrown the butt out and started bushfires and the like as well. So, the law is an ass at times. The trouble is it's the people that deploy it sometimes go too far, I think.
Rod, we got a voice message from young Fergo a little while ago. Well, young Fergo is on the phone right now on Truckie Tuesday. G'day, Fergo.
Hey, mate, how are you?
I'm good. How old are you?
14.
That's right. And you love trucks.
Yep.
So, young Fergo, where are you?
I'm in Broken Hill.
Doing what? There's a bit of noise in the background. What are you doing?
I'm working at the moment, just washing some couple of trailers.
At 14, good on you.
Yep.
I know that you're dying to talk to Rod Hannafy. He's on the line. Rod.
Yes, g'day, Fergo. How you going, mate?
Oh, not bad, mate. How are you?
Good. I will still one day get to Broken Hill and bring you out a TIV Cup, mate. I haven't been out that way for a little while, and I've got some new ones coming. So one day I will give you a call. I've got your number there, and hopefully we can catch up. But,
Yep.
mate, your dad rang, said that you're a big fan. And
Yes.
so we rang and had a chat. I even chatted to your mum for a little while.
Yep.
And she was very appreciative that I'd made the effort to give you a call. So I hope things are going well for you out there, mate. And how often do you spend time washing trucks? And what else do you do during the week?
Well, during the week I go to school. On the weekends I try to work as much as I can. Before I moved out here I was doing homeschooling and I worked a bit during the week and then worked a bit more on the weekend washing my dad's prime mover that he used to drive.
Are you saving up for anything? Like what? Why are you so keen to work?
Well, one, you work really hard now and you don't have to work as hard when you're a lot older, and once you save
Wish
up
that was the case.
save up a heap of money, so like when I'm 16 I can buy myself a car and get a license. I do want to end up becoming a owner driver, so my plan was save up, drop out at 16, drop out in year 10, get a trade, go to TAFE, and then start driving rigids. And once I'm old enough, I'll start driving semis.
Are you looking at being a diesel mechanic, or what
Yeah.
trade did you have in mind?
Yeah, diesel mechanic, so I can fix my own trucks.
Yes.
Yes, it's a big thing in being an owner driver, isn't it?
Yeah.
Otherwise, Luke, you're forever paying somebody else to fix it for you. And whilst technically, if you look at it in the letter of the law, if you're working on your own truck doing an oil change and a grease or a repair, that's work time. It's not something that's generally monitored, and it's one of the things where being an owner driver, not only do you drive like everybody else, but you have the stress of running the business on the top and trying to keep it occupied and trying to keep the truck well maintained and safe while you're out on the road driving it.
Rod, we've spoken about the pros and cons of working for a big company or being your own boss or being an owner driver. What advice have you got for 14-year-old Fergo from Broken Hill?
Well, mate, his dad's been in the industry, so he's seen it from that side. He knows what he's letting himself into. Part of the problem is people that sort of have starry eyes, and in the first week something goes wrong and they're already broken chasing their tail. So that's not a good way to start. You've got to have knowledge. We're still chasing the idea, of course, of the apprenticeship scheme. That's still to come. We've got a couple of things that might sort of bear fruit and help people get involved in the industry in an easier way. But he knows what he's up for. If he's got a passion for it, I wish him all the best.
Fergo, 14, so I'm tipping you're in year 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your goal is to have enough money to buy a car when you turn 16. How much are you earning now washing trailers?
Well, I used to be on 10 an hour. Now I'm on 12.50 an hour, and older, and I'll progress more. And
Good on you, Fergo. You're a very impressive young man. My first job was delivering our local newspaper, the Manly Daily. Guess how much I got paid?
about $2.
$20 a month.
Jeez.
$20 a month. Fergo, I reckon you're a future star. And as Rod said, your dad's been in the business for a long time, so you know what you're in for. How much money is Fergo going to need before he buys his own truck, Rod?
Well, that depends on so many things. Luke, what he wants to do with it, whether he's going to operate as a single or whether he's going into something bigger, whether he's planning to do tippers and grain and that sort of stuff. And, geez, there's a lot of tippers out on the road with the grain harvest underway. Of course, some of them sitting in long queues trying to get rid of their grain, but without them, the farmers wouldn't be able to sell the stuff. So have you got a niche that you're looking at, Fergo, or are you just going to go out there and sort of be a general operator?
B-double refrigerated.
Right. I was only listening to a bloke. I did a spot on another podcast during the week while you were away, Luke, and he did say that our podcast is going well, widely heard, so that was good. But he did say that B-double refrigerators was a mug's game.
Why?
Because you have to split. Because of splitting trailers and backing onto docks. But I've got to say, Luke, I had a B-triple on early on in the week, and I think I split trailers 18 times in 2 days. I wore a bloody hole in the centre of my glove. So I wasn't enjoying that quite as much as people think that you do.
Yeah, well, I was planning on doing start in Brisbane to Sydney to Melbourne to Adelaide and then head back up to Brisbane inland.
So do the triangle sort of thing, the big triangle?
Yep.
Yes, it's been pretty tough for refrigerated companies lately. A couple have gone pear-shaped and in a big way. They've certainly made an impact. There are a couple of big ones out there that do a really good job. Whether you can get in with one of them as a start, mate. But look, you've got a plan, and that's part of it. I was listening to a man on a podcast the other day, one of your friends, Luke, Mr. Tarby, where he was saying that goal setting may actually restrict you, but I think there's probably 2 steps. You've got to have a goal. You've got to have something to aim for. His suggestion was that if you make a goal that you get to that and then you don't go any further. But I think if you're doing nothing, that's the worst place. If you at least set a goal, you've got something to work towards. But if you want to run the world after that, well and good.
Yeah, setting goals is really important. That's Charles Tarby from Century 21 you're talking about, who I hope to get on the podcast again soon. Fergo, I think Kelsey's got a question for you.
Are there more kids like you, or are you the only kid that you know that wants to get into trucking?
Yeah, and so focused on what you want to do, which is so impressive.
There's a very, very small amount.
Why do you see they are reluctant? Now, we know it's a tough life. We know that, it's hard on family. We know all of those things. What is it that inspires you, and what is it that you think keeps others away?
Well, inspires me is, 1, it's a house on wheels. 2, it's a job that I can take pride in. I reckon the reason, not a lot of people that I know have really taken a lot of notice or interest in it. At school, anywhere, it's just very rarely talked about. And so no one just really actually knows anything about it.
To get young kids in, obviously you've come from a trucking family, so that's influenced you. That's fair to say, isn't it?
I do know a fair few people on social media that we're all interested in trucks and want to do a lot for the industry, and a lot of us are like truck spotters or photographers.
Yes.
And that's just how
get involved.
How passionate at our age.
Yes, you can't get involved in licensing, although you're sort of doing the truck washing thing. And look, what that generally leads to, if you're lucky, is moving trucks around the yard and someone helping you and, move that trailer over there, but I'm going to watch you, those sorts of things. So you get that experience when you're young. That's generally a good way into it. Working in a yard, yes, you're still too young to work full-time yet, so you've got to look at that when you get there to that point. But, again, I've got to say, and a lot of truck drivers said, you're not going near a truck that I'll kick in the backside unless you've got that trade, because then you've got particularly if you're picking motor mechanic, diesel mechanic, you've got something to support what you do, but you have a fallback. If something happens and the truck doesn't work out, you've got something else that you have qualifications to go and do, rather than, bugger it, it's all fallen in a heap and I've got nowhere to go. And look, there are people who have driven trucks most of their life, and it's even come up in conversations with family at times, what else would you rather do, or aren't you sick of doing it yet? And you've got to love what you do. Of course, what is it? If you've got a job that you love, you never work a day in your life.
Yep.
That's a big part of it, having some passion for what you do. But the stuff has to be delivered. Without truckies, there's no harvest, there's no nothing, there's no food for the people in Broken Hill, there's no fuel, there's no car parts, there's no mining, because all that stuff relies on the trucks delivering it there one way or another. And Look, I'm sure most of us have heard about the tragedy at Cobar. A miner was killed last week, and that's a terrible thing. None of us want that to happen. But in our industry, it seems to be overlooked. It's not as important. And whilst we were talking before, about having laws and penalties and being safe on the road, we as drivers don't get enough say into those things. And I'm afraid that's one of the things I'm really concerned about, is that we're not heard. So, mate, as you grow up, you've got a voice. For goodness sake, use it for the best.
Yes. And a lot of, just everywhere, it's not talked about enough, or not even talked about at all. And they just don't realise that everything, that their desks, their chairs, everything got there by a truck.
Yep.
It's just disappointing that no one appreciates.
It's taken for granted, and I tell you what, it's this session with Rod Hannafy over the years has opened my eyes. I will never look at the trucking industry the same way again, because now I'm a bit more educated.
Let's just say your dream comes true. You've saved up enough money. You've done all the things. What truck is your dream truck, and how would you fit it out? What is your dream scenario?
Well, I've thought about this a lot and a lot and a lot of times.
All right, quick pit stop, folks. Let's talk holidays. Now, be honest. The road in front of you, the treadmill under your feet, or that pile of dishes in the sink, it's getting old. Now, picture this, swapping the dish soap for an icy Bingtane. Imagine the endless stretch of highway turning into a stretch of white, sandy beach. Or that treadmill. Suddenly, it's the climb to Machu Picchu. Now, that's the feeling Nature Bee wants to give you with their bucket list competition. A chance to win $20,000 worth of travel anywhere you choose. And if your dream trip costs less, well, the rest is yours, the spending money. You keep the change. Plus, there are plenty of little wins too. Gift vouchers to turn a long weekend into something special. And Nature Bee prize packs to give your insides the reset of a yoga retreat. All you need to do is spend $79.90 or more on Nature Bee products, and you are automatically in the draw. So if you've ever thought of trying Power Pollen, this is the time to do it. Hit the link in the show notes or head to naturebee.com. Read the T's and C's, and who knows, next time you're listening to Bonafide, you could be listening to us from the beach.
Oh, it's got to be a Kenworth 60-inch aero modular bunk. I want to have a TV, microwave, everything that comes in an aero modular. And if I can, I've seen a couple of Australian trucks that have a very small shower in them.
Oh, very fancy. What colour would you get?
Yeah, what colour? I was going to ask that, yeah.
Black.
And would it have a name?
You've got to see the truck and feel the truck to give it a name, I feel like. You've got to be in it to know what its personality.
Fergo's Flyer.
The Fergo?
Fergo's Flyer.
We've got it for you. The Fergo Flyer. We've got Rocket Rod and Fergo the Flyer. Rod, what do you make of Fergo's dream?
Mate, I wish him the absolute best. I hope it comes true for him, and I hope it gives him a life of happiness. He's going to have to work hard to do it.
I've got a question. I've got another question for you, Fergo. Because obviously your dad's been a big influence on you. Have you gone on road trips with your dad in his truck?
Yep, all the time, as much as I can.
Isn't that wonderful? What's your favourite trip? What's your favourite part of Australia that you've seen because of your dad?
Probably Broken Hill to Adelaide at the moment. It's very, the scenery changes all the time. But I did really love when we did Warhope to Brisbane. I did enjoy that road. Even though it's just the M1 highway, it was a really great trip to do.
Yeah, I look forward to you having a long, safe life on the highway, mate.
Yeah, thank you, mate. I've even got a question for you.
Yes?
What are the benefits of an electric logbook, and how do they work?
Because most of the data is in there, whereas in your logbook you've got to fill that in every day, you don't get the bullshit fines because you forgot to put the date in or tick the box or say it was Wednesday or something like that. So it gets rid of those niggly little fines. The second one is that it helps you manage your time. It warns you when you are due for a break. Instead of you driving down the road, you pull up and go, oh, shit, I should have stopped half an hour ago. So it prevents that from happening. And there are two other things, of course. It records the data so that when they pull you up, it will say no compliance breaches. They don't have to go back through it, although some of them will still do that and try and find something. And it's roughly equivalent to the cost of buying logbooks. But if you buy a book, you have to manage all that in your head. Some blokes can. You have to manage it on the road. Some blokes can't. And for the cost, the convenience, and the last one is your time. Now, in a paper logbook, if you pull up at 3:07, by law, you're supposed to write that forward to 3:15 because it works on a 15-minute increment. You've just given away 8 minutes. Now, if you do that 5 times in a day, there's 40 minutes. In a normal paper logbook, you could technically be in breach because you wanted to drive 15 minutes down the road to a roadhouse or a decent parking bay. But if you have an EWD, you get to use your 12 or 14 hours, depending on what it is, and you're not giving that time away because time to us is critical, managing it, using it to the best of your ability. And I think that as long as you've got one that's on your phone that is linked to you, because the ones that are linked to the truck, if somebody moves your truck, then you've got to argue that the mechanic moved it. If you want to move it because you woke up in the sun and you want to move it 20 feet, some of them will record that as a break and then punish you as well. So one on your phone, like Hubflute, like I use, mate, I think the value is there and I think it helps us. As a 14-year-old, is there a designated pathway into the industry? Look, there isn't, but we've spoken of an apprenticeship. Now, Queensland Trucking Association and the West Australian Trucking Association each have apprenticeship schemes, and we're hoping that they will form the basis of a national one. There is good chance that that might become recognised within the next 12 months. So I'd certainly look at that as something maybe once you've done your trade, or you might be able to do it online as part of your trade, so that you've got at least the written skills and all that. And then, of course, you've got your dad there who might be able to provide you with some on-work training that would bolster that and give you the information you need so that when the time comes to go for your licence, to start setting yourself up for your future, you've got most of the background stuff you need. It's funny, came up in that podcast last night, there are probably 40 different sectors in this industry. No course can teach you everything you need for those 40. And when you get a job, you go in there, you show your skills, they've got to test you. But no matter who you work for, and of course, if it's yourself, it's a little bit different. But no matter where you go, the company should make sure, A, that you have the qualifications and the skills, but B, that they then teach you what you need to know for their particular job, that they don't just let you loose on the highway to learn by your mistakes. Because, look, in the past, yes, a lot more of that was done, but you really can't afford to do that now. Yeah.
Fergo,
Righto, thank you for that.
Oh, Fergo, I've got to ask you, do you have a favourite trucking song, or does your dad have a favourite trucking song?
I do, my dad does. My dad's would be Driving Wheels from Jimmy Barnes, I reckon.
Yeah.
Oh, and mine, it'd just be AC/DC.
Any Akadaka gets you going. Listen, you mentioned Jimmy Barnes. There's a great Cold Chisel song called Shipping Steel.
Yes.
How good is that?
It reminds me of, I think it even is about it, about Newcastle.
So I'll give you another one to go and listen to, mate. We spoke about there. It lifted my spirits this morning. It's called Diesel in My Veins by Al Bryant. And, of course, I'm sure that you know Brothers of the Highway.
No, but I know Prisoner of the Highway.
I actually interviewed him when I was over there at the Dallas Truck Show, and the film clip for it, mate, you will just love it.
Righto, I'll go check that out.
I've just looked up Shipping Steel. Shipping Steel is about the tough life of industrial workers, particularly those who worked in steel mills in places like Wollongong or the steel industry in Westport, Victoria. The lyrics describe the monotonous and back-breaking labour and the sense of being trapped in a harsh and unglamorous job. That's according to AI. But travelling down the open road, steel pigs are my only load, so I always thought it was about trucking. But another fantastic song written by Don Walker. So we've got a lot to think about, a lot of music. We're going to have a listen to Diesel in My Veins before the end of this podcast. But gee whiz, Fergo, or the Flying Fergo, Kelsey, when we get our Truckie Tuesday merchandise done and we're getting closer, can we make sure Fergo and his dad get some?
Oh, absolutely. They're on the list.
Would you wear a bona fide podcast Truckie Tuesday?
We're going to make it
cap?
look cool, Fergo. Don't worry. It's not going to be ugly.
Yeah. In other words,
wear it.
in other words, what she's saying is Kelsey's designing it, not me.
Thank God for that.
Well, Fergo, the Flying Fergo, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. As I say, you're 14 going on 30, and I think you're in for a very bright future because you have goals and you're obviously a hard worker. You're obviously highly intelligent, and I just think the world's your oyster. And thank you so much for being part of Truckie Tuesday here on the Bonafide podcast.
Oh, mate, thank you for ringing me. Yeah, I do appreciate it.
Rod, what an amazing young man is young Fergo. You said something there that I just wanted to ask you about. He said refrigerated, and you went through the pros and cons of driving refrigerated trucks. You said that a couple of refrigerated operations had recently gone bust. Why is that? Is it particularly refrigeration transport, or is that just trucking businesses in general, or is it in particular refrigerated trucks?
Look, the biggest was Scott's Refrigerated. Now, they were one of the largest in Australia. They had, goodness me, like must have been hundreds and hundreds of trucks and trailers. And I wasn't there, Luke. I heard lots of stories, as we all do. But in the end, they went into liquidation, with a whole heap of gear being sold off. And whether they weren't, look, if you're operating a business, you do it to make a profit. They were under pressure from some of their customers. It got to the point where my understanding is they were virtually trading insolvent. And, of course, then the whole business failed. It fell over into a screaming heap. And you would think that most of that work is fairly consistent. You don't have all of a sudden you've got 10 loads of pies this week and there's nothing next week. You know, that sort of stuff where you're buying frozen stuff, goes into the supermarkets, it's there every week. It's reasonably consistent. People's habits and things generally the same unless things vary that little bit. So you would have thought with major customers and consistent food products. So it's not like you're carrying something that somebody might buy this week and not buy for another year. It's not like you're delivering fridges. People eat food every week and they have to survive. You would have thought there was sufficient consistency in that to make sure the business model worked. Obviously it didn't. It failed. Only those involved in it and the auditors and things like that know where it went wrong. And I don't think there's been a real dissection in the industry, and maybe those people that screwed up certainly don't want that to happen. In one way, Luke, I think it's a problem that we don't learn those things later. And I don't want to know that Fred Brown screwed it up and he did, messed it all up. But I want to know that that company did this, and this is where led to that, which made it fail, because then you help somebody else to know that's a problem. Don't do that. This is where it's going to lead. So okay. I'd love to see a dissection, but I don't want to see anybody really hauled over the coals. I just want education to help others to stop it from happening again.
If you've got some thoughts, lukemonaradioguy@gmail.com, or just click on all the links and leave us your thoughts, your messages and your contact if you want us to get involved. Remember, we'll be doing a live Truckie Tuesday on the 11th of November where you can actually ring in live. Just have a look at our socials and it's all there. We will play Diesel in My Veins at the end of our chat today, Rod. There's a bit more I want to get to, but I'm just carrying on about Cold Chisel again. It was from the Breakfast at Sweethearts album. The lyrics basically, hammer down the open road, steel pigs my only load. Country songs are always playing. He's a going, she's a staying. Briquettes keep the fires burning, diesel keeps the wheels turning, hikers on the edge of town start off young and end up learning. And then it goes shipping steel, the chorus, caught between heaven and the highway. So there you are.
Yes. And we need, some more songs like that to sort of get people involved. And Luke, I have a question, so I'm going to jump the gun here.
Yep.
partly from doing that podcast during the week, and that was on the road podcast. I want to know from two types of listeners. So I want to know from the truckies at the moment how they think we are seen by the public, and then I want to know by members of the public how they see us now. Now, I'm sure that you've seen, Luke, there was a certain video went up during the week of a gentleman in a B-double doing a U-turn where he shouldn't have been in the first place. Did you manage to see that one?
Yes.
So, look, he turned around. He didn't run over anybody. Had he got halfway around and broken all the airlines and blocked the traffic for hours, I'm sure it would have been a hell of a lot worse. He shouldn't have been there in the first place in a B-double, but he probably looked at Google or something stupid like that. But in the light of those things, and it came to that, again, that bloke made a mistake. We all did when we were young, and we got away with some of them. They weren't on video and everybody saw them now. But with those things happening, I think it's harder for the public to appreciate what we do. And I know, as I said to you this morning, mate, you said a bit dusty. I was certainly frustrated that I can't get things better. And we'll talk about the roads next week. So I have a real concern on the roads, but I don't want to hang myself on that one yet. So how does the truckie listening audience think we're seen? And how does the public, the other side, see us now, the way things are?
Luke Boner, radioguy@gmail.com. Please give us your feedback. Now, before you go, there's just a bit of news that I wanted to share with you. I got this thanks to Big Rig. The headline was, "End Sham Contracting in Freight Before It Ends Us." The story reads, Australia's freight and logistics sector is one of the most dynamic and essential industries in the country. It connects businesses, communities and consumers, moving everything from groceries to medical supplies, construction materials, even online orders. But beneath this vital service lies a growing threat to its integrity and sustainability: sham contracting. Sham contracting is a practice where workers are misclassified as independent contractors, often under an ABN, despite working under conditions that legally define them as employees. This misclassification allows companies to avoid paying super, leave entitlements, workers' compensation and taxes. It's a loophole that not only exploits workers, but also undermines ethical operators who are doing the right thing. Now, we've mentioned this before. My son was working for a tradie who had him on as a contractor, but my son, this job that he had with this tradie was his only job. But his employer didn't have to pay his super, his holiday pay, leave entitlements and all that. So there are laws in place that are supposed to protect workers. And I think if you do 80%, it could be 60, I'll have to check, 60 to 80% of your work is through one bloke, you're considered an employee, not a contractor.
Yes, that's right. We had Glenn Sterle on the show. Glenn Sterle was going to do something, and as I say, I was talking to Glenn Castanelli, the current president of the National Road Freighters Association. He and others from the NRFA are going to meetings in Canberra next week to discuss that. Glenn raised it. He made a lot of noise about it. And yes, it's having an enormous impact, not only on cheating those employees that are put under that scheme, but as you say, it then affects the ability of others to compete for work and to do it safely. And here we go, make a profit. I know some people see that as a dirty word. Making a profit keeps a business running. It's only when they make billions of dollars at the cost of their employees that, from my point of view, and certainly a lot of others, I think, it's criminal then.
Just another piece of news which we've also discussed, but just listening to Fergo and asking are there pathways to get into the industry. One of the sessions of this year's Australian Trucking Association Technical Maintenance Conference, which was held in Melbourne, was trying to deal with this challenge from the perspective of apprenticeship training, managing GED-Z employees. And Rod, they're people born between 1996 and 2010 who were looking to get into the business. They came to the decision that this generation is underutilised and underemployed. It's an underemployed talent pool of neurodiverse people looking for work in the community. Women in Trade Apprenticeships mentor Ashley Betley led the discussions, explaining just how important it is for employers and trade schools to work closely together to maximise the apprenticeship program for all involved. And we've talked about this.
We certainly have, mate, yes. And look, it's not just women, as you say. where they pushed everybody into going to university. Not everybody can and do that, and you've only got to look back at people like Lindsay Fox.
Yep.
He left school early, went out, got his hands dirty, got into a truck, and look where he is now. So having a university degree is not everything for everybody, and if everybody did, then there'd be nobody to do the work. They'd all be telling us how to do it. So we need that pathway. We haven't had it till now. It's been, like Fergo's lucky, been out with his dad. He sort of got into the industry that way. But because of the laws and penalties in not allowing kids onto site into DCs, the insurance problem, that has even reduced that pathway into the industry. And unless we get a proper apprenticeship, which again can't teach you everything, but is going to give you that basis for which to go in. And I suppose it comes back to like Fergo there. He's seen it. He's got his eyes open. He knows what he's going into. Many years ago, mate, there was a movie called Prime Mover. Probably 20 years ago now, maybe not quite that long. I actually went to the world premiere in Dubbo, and some of it was filmed at our yard. And it was a young bloke with a dream of buying a truck, got into it, and then he did a diff, and the bloke said, he said, how much is one of those? He said, about 7. He said, 700. He said, no, 7,000. Mm-hmm. And, of course, that started a downhill run. And, look, it did have some unusual themes in it. And I know that we try and have things to the positive, but at the end of it, there was a local paper in Dubbo, and I knew the editor, and his wife was there with him at the premiere, and she said, I didn't know that truck drivers took drugs. So obviously she was one of the few. And then, look, it's not what it was, and we don't want that in the industry. But, again, there is so little information for someone from the outside. There is so little recognition of what we do. And I've asked your mates that did our theme song, mate, to come up with a song for the industry that we can get out there and promote. And instead of playing Diesel in My Veins, we might be playing Australian Truckies Carry the World or whatever it might be. So we've got to follow that one up and get people to be aware and involved.
Absolutely. Also, Rod, motorists are being advised to take care because there'll be some extra trucking movement on our roads during harvest season.
Yeah, mate, but I've got to say, the bloke who cut in front of me and nearly took the paint off me bull bar in Melbourne on the freeway yesterday, he got a bit of a blast, as did one other who overtook me in an unsafe place. Why people have to take such a risk to gain a second is beyond me. I know the world's a busy place, but the sign on the back of my truck at the moment, the Truckie's Top 10 Tips for Sharing the Road, and I've been sitting on the concrete here, says road courtesy. A bit of patience could save your life. A friendly wave is better than a shaken fist. And I don't like shaking fists at people or blowing the horn at them, but if they're that stupid that they want to kill themselves, please leave me out of it.
Rod Hannafy, Rocket Rod Hannafy on Truckie Tuesday. Rod, thank you.
So then what we do, we have to get one of you in the truck because you talk about it and then you have passion for it and you help us do it, but you've got to come and see it from our side.
Yeah, we'll work on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Rod, do you go, is there like a pickup?
She's going to say Yorkie's knob now. Go on.
No. I'm going to say, is there a pickup? Do you go through Sydney? Because, surely we can arrange, I don't know, to meet you at a depot and you can take us somewhere and then we'll fly back from wherever we land or whatever.
Absolutely, mate. We've got to look into that. No, mate, he's got a bit of a problem with an air leak, but he's going to have to sort that out himself. Yes, we will arrange that when I'm coming to Sydney one day, mate.
I'll let you get on with it.
Let us know when you come to Sydney next, because I'm keen and I will make Luke get in that truck.
No, you're going.
No, you're going, Luke. It's been 10 years. You need to get into a bloody truck.
Right, your chilies, Luke. Just shut up and do as you're told.
I'm going to shut up and do as I'm told. Exactly. It's much easier. And now, with a big fanfare, Rocket Rod Hannafy's travel song du jour, travel song of the day. Diesel in My Veins. Who's it by, Rod?
Al Bryan. So you've got to get the right version. There's a couple of versions. So Al Bryan.
Here it comes. Talk soon. Truckie Tuesday.
Yes, mate, safe travelling to all.
Midnight highway, rolling black smoke. Gear shift snarling like a barroom joke. Got a half tank left and a full moon burning. Steel wheels moan and the road keeps turning. Tattoos, torn boots, flannel and scars. Ain't no suit, riding shotgun in this car. CB's buzzing with the outlaws calling. High ride ride so low, but I ain't falling. 'Cause I got diesel in my veins, thunder in my chest. I ain't playing no games. I run long miles with a rebel soul, chasing freight and freedom on the road.
We'll be back for episode 66 before you know it. In the meantime, thank you, Millennial. It's good to be back.
Yes. And I know that you've probably got a thought of the day
Well, it's
lined
not a
up,
thought
but
of the
I've
day.
got one. I've got one. Should we take turns?
Okay, go on.
Before you criticize someone, walk a mile in their shoes. That way, you'll be a mile from them and you'll have their shoes.
That's very good, Kelsey.
That's a good one. You've got to admit, that is a good one. And that one actually comes as courtesy of Steve. So
As a
thank
listener.
you, Steve.
Yeah, that's good. Send us your thoughts of the day and we'll broadcast them here on the podcast. I found a little bit of interesting sporting history during the week. This is true. Kelsey, you and everybody listening, you've all heard of Karl Marx, right?
No?
Are you serious?
I have no idea who that is.
Das Kapital and the Communist Manifesto, the father of communism?
Oh, Marxism?
Karl Marx.
Yes, I am aware. I am aware now. German philosopher.
Someone help
yeah.
me. And there's an old joke that not even Karl Marx has read Das Kapital and the Communist Manifesto. There is two big books, Kelsey.
Right.
Not many people know this, Millennial, that Karl Marx had a sister called Anya. And she was an Olympic sprinter. And to this day, her name is still mentioned at the beginning of every race.
Ha, ha, ha. Let's have a voting system of whose thought of the day was better. And I'm going to call it early and say my one was better.
Talk next time, folks.
Goodbye.
See what I have to put up with. All right, look, the episode's done, but before you pull the keys out of the ignition or turn off the lights, here's the dare. Stop dreaming about that holiday and actually enter for the chance to win one. NatureBee is giving away 20 grand of travel anywhere you want. Bali, Broome, Barcelona, it doesn't matter. If it's under 20K, you keep the change. Spend $79.90 on NatureBee products and you're in the running. It's just that easy. So go on, hit the link in the notes or head to naturebee.com, read the T's and C's, and let's see where you end up.